She's one of the most dangerous women in British history, a name that evokes both horror and fascination. Joanna Dennehy isn't your typical serial killer. She's cold, calculating, and unapologetic. Her killing spree, spanning just 10 days, claimed the lives of 3 men, with 2 others narrowly escaping her blade. But what's truly chilling is that Dennehy didn't kill for revenge, money, or survival. She killed for fun, simply to satisfy her twisted desires. What drives someone to take lives so casually? What kind of person not only kills but revels in the infamy it brings? These are the questions that make Joanna Dennehy's story so disturbing. In this video, we'll uncover the life of a woman whose crimes shocked the UK, from her troubled beginnings to her shocking murders and the dangerous control she still wields behind bars. And here's the twist: Joanna didn't act alone. She used her charm and cunning to manipulate others into helping her carry out her heinous acts. This isn't just the story of a killer, it's a chilling look at how one person's darkness can spread like wildfire, consuming everyone in their path. Stay tuned, because you've never heard a true crime story like this. Joanna Dennehy's story begins in St. Albans, Hertfordshire, a quiet town that bore little resemblance to the chaos she would later unleash. Born in 1982, Dennehy grew up in a seemingly ordinary household, yet her childhood was anything but typical. From a young age, she exhibited signs of defiance and aggression, traits that would only intensify as she grew older. Teachers described her as intelligent but unruly, and she frequently clashed with authority, leaving many adults around her feeling uneasy. As a teenager, Dennehy began to rebel in more dangerous ways. She ran away from home, experimented with drugs, and surrounded herself with a rough crowd. These years were marked by a rapid descent into criminal behavior, fueled by her growing disdain for societal norms. Despite her family's attempts to intervene, Dennehy's trajectory seemed set. The young girl with potential was quickly becoming a young woman with a dark edge. Adulthood brought little stability. She lived a transient life, drifting between towns and relationships, many of which were abusive or volatile. Her partners often found themselves drawn to her charisma but quickly discovered the dark, manipulative side lurking beneath. Dennehy's involvement in petty crimes escalated during this time, and she had several stints in prison, further cementing her life on the fringes of society. But what's striking about Dennehy's early life isn't just the chaos, it's the glimpses of her future. Even as a young adult, she demonstrated an unnerving fascination with violence. Friends and acquaintances later recalled her chilling remarks about wanting to harm others, though few took her seriously at the time. In hindsight, these were warning signs of the horrors to come, as Dennehy transitioned from troubled youth to a calculated predator. This period of her life raises haunting questions. Was Joanna Dennehy born a killer, or was she shaped by the circumstances around her? As we'll see, her choices would soon leave no doubt. Joanna Dennehy's descent into murder began with a shocking intensity that even seasoned detectives found difficult to comprehend. Over the span of just 10 days in March 2013, she brutally murdered 3 men and attempted to kill 2 others. Her spree wasn't impulsive, it was calculated, cold-blooded, and, perhaps most disturbingly, driven by her self-proclaimed lust for killing. Her first victim was Łukasz Sobozuski, a 31-year-old Polish immigrant who trusted Dennehy enough to follow her to his death. Using her charm and manipulation, she lured him to her flat, where she stabbed him repeatedly in a frenzy of violence. After his murder, she casually stored his body in a wheelie bin, showing no sign of remorse or concern. Chillingly, she later joked about her actions, treating them as though they were nothing more than an amusing anecdote. Days later, she struck again. This time, her victim was John Chapman, a 56-year-old man who lived in the same area. Known for his gentle demeanor, Chapman was completely unprepared for Dennehy's attack. She stabbed him multiple times in the chest and neck, ensuring his death was both brutal and prolonged. It became evident that Dennehy was escalating, not only in frequency but in the ferocity of her attacks. The precision of her actions suggested she had given thought to how she could maximize suffering. Her third victim, Kevin Lee, was someone Dennehy knew well. Lee, a property manager, had been manipulated into helping Dennehy with accommodations. She repaid his kindness by stabbing him to death and dressing his body in a black sequin dress as a macabre display of her twisted sense of humor. His body, like the others, was dumped in a ditch. To her, this wasn't just murder, it was theater. But Dennehy wasn't finished. With her accomplice, Gary Stretch, she continued her spree, attempting to murder 2 more men in broad daylight. In both cases, her victims narrowly survived, managing to fight back and escape. These survivors would later provide key evidence that led to Dennehy's capture. Their courage, in the face of such shocking violence, is a testament to the will to survive. Throughout her killings, Dennehy exhibited an unsettling enjoyment of the violence. She openly taunted authorities, reveling in the chaos she was creating. Witnesses and accomplices described her as euphoric after the murders, often joking about her crimes with a chilling casualness. Unlike many serial killers who attempt to hide their actions, Dennehy seemed to crave attention, viewing her spree as a way to cement her infamy. Her relationship with accomplices Gary Stretch and Leslie Layton was equally disturbing. Stretch, a towering figure standing over 7 feet tall, was utterly captivated by Dennehy. Despite her diminutive size and unassuming appearance, she wielded immense control over him, persuading him to aid in disposing of bodies and evading capture. Layton, another accomplice, provided assistance out of a mix of fear and loyalty. Dennehy's ability to manipulate those around her was as dangerous as the blade she carried. Dennehy's lack of remorse extended to her attempts to cover her tracks. After dumping the bodies of her victims in ditches around Peterborough, she set her getaway car ablaze to destroy any evidence. But even in her evasion, she showed no signs of fear or desperation, instead treating the situation like a game. What sets Joanna Dennehy apart from many serial killers is the sheer brazenness of her actions. There were no intricate rituals or long periods of dormancy. She killed quickly, without hesitation, and with no apparent motive beyond her desire to feel alive. This chilling lack of purpose, combined with her enjoyment of the murders, solidified her as one of the most dangerous women in UK history. But Dennehy's spree would soon come to an end, as the survivors of her attacks and the relentless efforts of law enforcement closed in on her. Still, her crimes leave a haunting question: how could someone kill with such enthusiasm, treating life as disposable and death as entertainment? Joanna Dennehy's killing spree came to an abrupt end when law enforcement caught up with her. The turning point came thanks to the 2 men who survived her attacks. Though gravely injured, these victims provided police with critical descriptions of Dennehy and her accomplices. Combined with CCTV footage, the authorities tracked her to Hereford, where she was arrested just days after her last attempted murder. True to her nature, Dennehy mocked the officers during her arrest, smirking as they restrained her. For her, the manhunt wasn't a nightmare but a twisted game, one where she relished playing the villain. In custody, forensic psychologists unraveled the chilling layers of Dennehy's psyche. Diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder, she displayed a complete lack of empathy, impulsivity, and manipulative tendencies. Unlike most, Dennehy didn't just lack remorse, she actively sought opportunities to inflict pain. Her indifference was shocking. She described her murders as casually as one might discuss a routine activity. In one chilling statement, she compared killing to having a cup of tea. Dennehy's profile revealed a dangerous mix of psychopathy and emotional instability. She was impulsive, manipulative, and profoundly unpredictable. Yet, despite these findings, she showed no interest in rehabilitation. She openly declared she was not sorry and would kill again if given the chance. For law enforcement and psychologists alike, Joanna Dennehy represented the worst kind of criminal, a predator who kills without motive, remorse, or a shred of humanity. Even behind bars, Joanna Dennehy continues to wield a chilling influence. Sentenced to life imprisonment with no possibility of parole, she is one of only 3 women in UK history to receive this punishment, alongside Myra Hindley and Rose West. Yet, confinement has done little to curtail her manipulative and dangerous nature. Dennehy's time in prison is marked by a relentless drive for dominance. Fellow inmates and prison staff have described her as manipulative, intimidating, and even charismatic in her own dark way. Using her notoriety as leverage, she exerts control over vulnerable prisoners, often coercing them into doing her bidding. Her ability to psychologically dominate others remains one of her most dangerous traits. One infamous incident involved Dennehy's attempt to escape prison. She plotted with another inmate, detailing plans to kill a guard and use their keys to break free. The plan was thwarted before it could be executed, but it highlighted the ongoing threat she poses, even under maximum security. Dennehy's interactions with male prison staff have also raised concerns. She uses flirtation and calculated charm to manipulate those around her, often creating a toxic environment. For those who resist her influence, she resorts to threats and intimidation, making her a constant source of tension within the facility. Despite being isolated from the general population, Dennehy remains a persistent security concern. She has shown no signs of remorse or rehabilitation, and her psychopathy continues to make her a danger to others. Prison officials have described her as a permanent threat, requiring constant monitoring to prevent further incidents. Joanna Dennehy's story doesn't end with her arrest. It continues in the corridors of the prison, where she has become a symbol of unrelenting malice. Even behind bars, she proves that her capacity for manipulation and harm knows no bounds. Joanna Dennehy's story is a chilling reminder of the darkness that can exist within a human being. Her crimes were not only brutal but devoid of any discernible motive beyond her own twisted enjoyment. Even behind bars, she remains a symbol of danger, manipulation, and a complete absence of remorse. What drives someone like Dennehy to such extremes? Is it nature, nurture, or something far more sinister? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more gripping true crime stories. Stay safe and vigilant.